Welcome to the Sports Show. Mike Max, Patrick Royce, Lavelle E. Neal III, and Sid Hartman.
Plaids are back now. I got a couple of nice plaids.
How many
You
times
got a new shirt on, too, Sid. Where's the pink?
Yeah.
The trademark
really?
pink. No
Well, but the trademark stain I see is alive and well.
I tell you, the coffee's going to clash with
I'm
that,
the
Sid.
best dry cleaner's friend there's living.
Yeah, so you got to go there once in a while then. Hey, we could start in a number of different directions, but Lavelle, you cover the Twins, and since they probably won't be our lead item here for the weeks to come, I mean, when you think it can't get any worse, you look at the last week and a half with this team, and they've just been buried by good teams and bad teams, and now it looks, there's just nothing.
Swept in Seattle. They had two kids up from Rochester, Florimon and Matt Carson. Putting those guys in big situations is almost unfair to them. But I'm amazed because, this offense is supposed to be consistent and productive, goes to Seattle and gets shut down. They scored one run on Sunday. I think they scored two yesterday. Maurer came up in a couple big situations here and could not get it done. And if they're not going to hit, it's going to be even worse for this team because they already know they're going to have to outscore some of their pitching once in a while.
What do they do with Blackburn?
I don't know. I guess they're talking about sending him down to the bullpen or sending him down to the minors again. But I don't know. It's only a couple weeks left in the minor league season. I don't know what good is that going to do.
But they've played this game, Patrick, with Blackburn for the last few
2
years.
years, yeah.
I don't know what the answer is, but it doesn't look like
You know
it's
what
a
the
big league
answer is?
starter.
His stuff's not very good.
Yeah.
That's his answer.
You know what?
And if you don't throw 95, then you got to be perfect, and he's not.
His shining moment was when he lost 1-0 to the White Sox in Game 163.
That's when we all are very
Well,
upset.
you and I were all younger back then.
No, we were much younger then, and he
Well,
kept it around.
Sid, you've got an interesting theory.
It's going to be a very interesting off season because they've got to do something. They got to find a way to get two starting pitchers, and if they don't, it's going to be the same thing next year.
You know what? They've seen a drop in attendance this year. Group sales didn't come in as strong as they did the year before, and now you go through 2 90-loss seasons, maybe 100 losses this year. It could hit them a little bit harder next year.
The other thing is a lot of these contracts with the
3 years.
with the corporate community are all 3-year contracts
exactly
for a
Not
new
all
stadium.
of them, but not
a
all
lot
of
of
them,
them,
but a share, yeah.
And I was talking to one of the people that
Percent
cut
of it?
some of those deals, and there are no guarantees coming back.
And one thing the Twins cannot do, they cannot go into the offseason and say, hey, we discovered Scott Diamond, we can work with Duduno, we'll have Kyle Gibson, and maybe we'll sign Scott Baker to a reasonable contract and bring him back, and let's just fill from within. They've got to make a strong move for a starter to throw 200 innings and hopefully miss a few bats along the way.
Sid, give me your theory.
Let me tell you this. I sit with Dave St. Peter quite a bit, and the bookkeeper, the controller, what's his name?
Kip
told
Elliott.
me
Kip Elliott.
They'll take in a minimum of $5 million less than
Well,
they
they're
took
going to
in
be
last
down.
year.
They're going to be down 400,000 almost
Yes.
in attendance. Well, more at
Yeah,
least
so do the math
400,000.
on that, and that makes sense.
You're going to after Labor Day, you'll see your first under 30,000 crowds.
Mm-hmm.
So, and they claim to have had 23,000. What do they call them? Season ticket equivalents.
Yes, equivalents.
They'll lose 7,000 this year.
I thought they counted turnstile.
No,
That's not true.
Nowhere in sports do they count turnstile.
No.
Nobody
Really?
counts turnstile.
I thought baseball did.
Nobody counts.
You mean as
turnstile.
opposed to tickets sold?
Yeah.
Well, the Twins know what the turnstile was, but they ain't telling us.
Right.
It's all tickets sold
what the
everywhere.
numbers are. But last year when we went through this terrible phase and you saw Tassoni and some of these kids, all it did now as you look at it is show that they didn't have very good players because these guys came and get a call up again, and the ones that they called up last
Sony
year.
just got taken off
Just
the
got
40,
40,
man.
man.
He's hitting 220 in Double-A.
And Joe Benson's got stuck at Double-A. He started at Triple-A.
Yeah, and these are the
struggled.
guys that we saw last year in the big leagues, so that tells you where their minor leagues are at right now.
The fact
Well,
they have to
they're-
call up Matt Carson instead of Benson is a sad state of the situation here.
They're advertising $14 tickets in the bleachers for the Kansas City game.
I can
But the
sell
Gophers
him.
got-
I can sell him a Legends Club ticket cheaper than that. They contact me.
Gophers got a
At
better
the
deal.
bottom of his column, there's an email address there. You may want to go and look
I
at.
never thought I'd see the time the Gophers would give you Coca-Cola, a hot dog, and a ticket for $25.
Gophers now we're talking about.
Huh?
You're talking about the Gophers now.
Gopher football.
Yeah.
Well, they
We're
got to
gonna
do,
get
they gotta
them
do
in
a
the
lot
next
to get
segment.
people to come and watch 3 wins, Sid.
By the way, what the Vikings announced on Friday night? What did they announce?
That stadium looked half
Did they
empty.
announce
I
it?
never heard an announced
They
crowd.
probably didn't
Did you hear an
announce
announced crowd for Friday's Vikings game?
Well, what they try to do, they actually gave all the tickets out.
Right.
They gave them to a lot of charities. They thought they would all show up, but they didn't show up. I think the biggest problem they got is the TV. It's so good that unless they're playing a good opponent I think people with,
Well, I think
with season tickets will still stay home.
But the big problem you got right now is it's a preseason game, and we don't want to cover all these topics
No.
at once,
Right.
though. You know what I'm saying? We want to one at a time kind of take them on.
Well, I've said it 18 times, Maxie. The Wild go out and they were slipping. They were going downhill. They go out and spend $200 million on 2 players, and they had a big offseason. The Wolves, people feel better about the Wolves than they felt about them in years. And, you know, the Vikings are the Vikings. The Twins sit on their dead ass this winter. They're going to lose 6,000, 7,000 season
Okay.
tickets.
Don't you think
and they're
some of
gonna
that
be about-
disposable income moved from the Twins to the
Yeah.
Wild account the last couple months?
Yes.
Move from the Vikings to the Wolves and the Wild, you think?
I think if the Twins don't do something this winter, they're the number 4 team in the market all of a sudden as far as people caring about them.
I don't see what dynamically they can do, though. If it's a really good free agent, why would they want to come here? And if you're talking about a trade, who are they going to trade to get somebody?
You know, I hate to say it, they would have to really offer a fat contract to get someone to pitch here. I mean, it is, although there's been more home runs hit in Target Field this year, more by the opponents.
I don't know, but
I still think it's a decent pitcher's
I got
park,
one
and that may be
question for you, though.
interesting
Would
for-
you rather go to the Mayo Clinic and have someone tell you you had terminal cancer or have a Twins trainer tell you you were day to day? Which is worse? Which is worse? Which is worse? Day to day. That means, hell, we might see you
Just
next
DL
February.
Span
We
now
might
and get
see
over
you
with.
next February.
Just DL Span and get over with. This is, and once again, the Twins set themselves up for this. They tell us the guy's going to be a couple of days. Span's like, I'll play by Seattle. And now it's going to be a week. He's going to not be on the field.
Give
I
us,
think
your,
they
give us
got
your
it.
theory on that.
I think the stadium is proven at the Baltimore, proved at Cleveland, prove it at other places where they get new arenas and new stadiums. First 2 or 3 years, you're in good shape.
Well, Cleveland sold
then
out for
you
about
have to
8.
win, baby. If you don't, the stadium and the arena don't do anything.
Let me
Unless
ask you,
Cleveland had a
Lavelle,
run
you've
of
seen
talent
you've
there.
seen them all. What is your favorite stadium and why?
You know, I'm a big Safeco Field fan,
Yeah.
and I know a lot of people disagree with me, but I just like the whole look of it. I like the retractable roof. You look out one side, there's a Puget Sound. You look out the other side, there's downtown Seattle. It's just got a great old, cool feel to it, and I really enjoy the ballpark. I like San Francisco's ballpark, too. I have Target Field third in the league. I think the Twins didn't miss too much when they put that stadium together, and everybody who comes in is amazed by what they've done here. But you know, the 5 state regions seen the Twins Stadium now, so they got to start winning.
We're down to Oakland and Tampa that need new stadiums, right?
Oakland's in the box because they want to move to San Jose,
Right.
and the San Francisco Giants are putting their foot down. They have documentation that says San Jose is part of their territory. So I don't know where the Oakland A's are going to go.
Yeah, well, you know, when you never know though, because remember when they wanted to move the team to Washington, and they cut a deal with the Baltimore owner Angelos
Baltimore
to get
gets
the
2/3
cable TV.
Baltimore gets 2/3 of the TV money.
Yeah,
That's
so you
probably
never
what
know.
The Giants will get.
What they could do to move them off the needle. Take a break, come back, sports show, stay with us. Locally owned, nationally known, J.D. Hoyt's. I just stopped by there the other night, had chicken with some mashed potatoes. Mike Gensel was there going to the Twins game that night, and he stopped in. We sat and talked for a while. It's a great place to sit down and have a pork chop. You even like the salad over there, don't you?
Have good ribs. That's what the thing I like.
That's your calling card.
Do
Before
you
we
give a
move,
bid? They give you a bib with those ribs?
two.
2 bibs?
Two bibs,
All right, good.
one for each side. It's gotten to that point. And when we go someplace Italian, he doesn't even stop talking. They just put the bib on one side. Before we move on from baseball, this Steven Strasburg thing is interesting. They're going to shut him down in innings pitched.
Well, you can't find too much fault with that general manager.
No.
Because he's done everything right. So he hasn't made a bad draft choice. He made a hell of a deal with the Twins. Got that catcher, although he got hurt and is out for the season. But you got to say, okay, I know he knows what he's doing. And I would think when you've had that Tommy John surgery, I think maybe it's a good move.
You know, Mike Rizzo's been in baseball a long time. He worked for the Red Sox and the White Sox, and he went to the Diamondbacks when they in their inaugural season. And he's building a pretty good organization there, and he's pretty sure what he's doing here. And he's got all the stats. He's talked to doctors. He's listened to all the opinions, and he's come to the conclusion that it's a big risk to add workload on to these pitchers. Now, not everybody's the same. Some pitchers may be able to handle it, but the safe route to go is to sit them down.
What he should have done is keep his mouth shut this spring and not let it turn into a 5-month story. He should have broke it about Labor Day and with one of the Washington beat writers. By the way, we got to shut him down at 180 innings and let everybody scream then. But to let it turn into a 5-month drama, I think, was idiotic.
When he first threw it out,
did he know
this
that
September.
they'd be playing this well?
Oh, yeah.
You know what the thing is? They will still be good without him. Joe Gonzalez is a heck of a pitcher. Jordan
Zimmerman
Simmons
might win the
is
Cy
an
Young.
excellent pitcher. They've got a squad, man. I think they may be able to absorb the loss.
I
Billy
think they
Martin.
should have went to a 6-man rotation about a month ago and
Maybe
tried
through
to
the season?
squeeze him into the off season.
Billy Martin would do just the opposite.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah. Mike
four
Norris,
A's,
Mike Norris, Rick Lanford, who
Mike
are the
Morgan,
other two?
right?
Brian Kingman,
Brian, no, not Mike Morgan. Brian Kingman, I can't remember who the fourth
Steve
was.
McCaddy?
Maybe. He ruined them all.
Yeah, that's right.
But they had some
9
fun there
innings.
for a year, didn't they?
Mike Norris went
All
22 and
pitched
7
9
one year. Was never heard from again.
Yeah, but you were saying Washington, D.C., is it a baseball town or not? We've talked about that before. I didn't realize how bad their statistics were.
Oh, yeah. 33. They've had 30. World War II, 1945. They finished a game and a half behind Detroit in the American League. But again, it's the war. So who knows who had, you look at the war, the St. Louis Browns won a pennant then.
Okay.
And they were the Senators.
Those years are kind of asterisks.
But there's
Kelvin.
been 33 seasons since then, before then, with 3 different Washington teams. They've had 2 winning seasons, 2 500 seasons, no pennant races. And as Lavelle pointed out, their last postseason game was 1933.
Yes, my father was
Kelvin
born,
was,
raised, and passed away during that whole time.
Calvin, 1945 to 1960 was he
Well,
was
no, Clark died in, 53 or so,
Oh.
and Calvin took over.
And they had a couple decent teams when Ted Williams first took over, but then they went haywire.
They
right?
were 86 and 76 with Ted Williams, but they also, as I pointed out, finished 23 games behind Baltimore in the AL East, so it wasn't really a nail-biter.
Let me ask you something.
Yes, sir.
Do you think they'll trade Morneau?
I don't see it. I think Morneau's having a solid season coming off of 2 years of concussions and other injuries. I know people get that $14 million off the payroll, but you got to have people around to hit. They're not scoring runs with him now. They need to help build a team around him and Morneau, Maurer, and Willingham.
That's perplexing, though, because that lineup's not bad.
No, it's not.
It's not
Somebody
some. I mean, you Revere at the top. You got some things to do there.
The Dodgers are looking for offense, and I talked to someone I know with the Dodgers, like, will we really be interested in Willingham if they put him on the trade market?
I would be too.
But Morneau, we've got him down on the 2nd or 3rd tier because we're still concerned about his concussion history.
How about the stat on Willingham since the All-Star game last year? He's hit more home runs than anybody in baseball.
That guy, I can't pronounce his name. They brought up his
Which
playing
one?
Center field.
Oh, the outfielder Matt Carson?
Yeah,
Or
he's not a bad ball
Mastriani.
player.
Mastriani, you mean?
Yeah,
Oh, Mastriani, the
Yeah.
speedy guy.
he's not a bad ball player.
No,
He's a role
I
player.
think he's a
Extra
solid fourth
extra
outfielder.
He's
Fourth
not an everyday
outfielder.
guy, though.
Not the number
That kid
one
can
issue
fly, though.
here, your extra outfielders.
No. So what we're saying is not to discount the work that you did to bring the Twins here from Washington, but the reason that they might have had such an appetite was that they were not a very good baseball team in Washington, so they weren't drawn very well, huh? The Senators.
Washington,
Yeah, when you stole them away.
they were drawing nothing. But the thing that sold them on coming here was that Hams gave him $600,000
Hams Beer
for the
Brewery,
radio and TV. And I happened to be at one meeting where Art Lund, who was the head of Campbell Methuen, and Larry Haig of WCCO, with Ozzie Bluegee was here. He had a daughter going to the Carlton or St. Olaf, and that's where they made the deal. And that was a big deal, the $600,000 for TV and radio.
10 times more than they were making in Washington for beer.
How about that?
The beer companies ran the franchises back then.
Yeah, they did, didn't they?
They made the deals for them.
St. Louis, obviously.
Herbie Carneal came here as an announcer because the Baltimore changed breweries. The Orioles is their sponsor, so Herbie had to.
Hey.
Herbie was so associated with the other beer, he had to leave town.
Real quickly, Frank Butel passed away.
Yeah,
this
Frank
weekend.
Butel.
For people not familiar,
What's that?
Frank Butel passed away.
Yeah.
Who was
Well,
he?
he
for
had a
people-
great career here. He worked for several radio and TV stations, and his son was in the same business too.
Yeah.
And did some Twins games. Did for a few years at Midwest. When Midwest Federal was the big sponsor, I think Frank was their PB guy.
Yeah. Take a break, come back. Sports show. Stay with us. Or stop on by, visit with Bruce Bonine, the whole group. Take that A7 for a little ride. Now, I like an SUV, so that Q7 does just fine. But those Porsche Cayennes that they've got on the lot, wow. Stop on by right off of 169 General Mills Boulevard and 394. Welcome back to the Sports Show. You are semi-sold on this Gopher football team this year.
Well, reason I'm sold is the schedule is if they don't go 4-0, there's something wrong. And I think the Big Ten is not that tough. He brought up a good point, like he does all the time. The fact they played 2 tough games on the road, Nebraska and Wisconsin. They play all the tough games other tough games at home, and they play a weak schedule on the road. So I think they can steal 2 games.
Sid, when you're 3-9, you're coming off a 3-9 season. Most of your games in your schedule are going to be tough, okay? Western Michigan is no pushover. These MAC teams have given Big Ten teams problems for years. Western Michigan averaged 35 points a game last year. Their starting quarterback is back. They scored 60 points twice last year.
No,
they're not.
They brought his name
is Alex Carter. No, they bring back 7 starters on offense. They scored 60 points twice last year and 42 other times. They could throw the ball down the field, and they got both their running backs back. And you keep saying that this is going to be a pushover. I'm telling you, they're going to have to pack a lunch here.
They don't have the quarterback back.
Yes, he is back. His name is Carter, C-A-R-D-E-R.
He's got a freshman quarterback.
No, he doesn't. And he has a veteran offensive line. And you keep thinking that they're just going to beat Western Michigan because you think they're Johnny-come-latelys, as you like to call them.
All right, we'll see. I think they'll beat Western Michigan.
Okay. Is that the home opener?
No, that's their third game, I believe.
Oh, good. I'm pretty excited.
Western Michigan opens against Iowa.
You wrote about it, Patrick, today, though, and we've never really been able to solve this on campus.
Go to game and shut up. God almighty. We got people proposing that you pick up students in a limo, give them lunch, give them a brat, give them a couple of beers, take them over to the gate, give them free tuition, give them a $4 ticket, and then when the game's over, make sure they got a place to drink, for God's sakes. Did you ever go to any other places to watch a game? You go to Notre Dame, you sit on the freeway for 5 miles trying to get through the toll gate to get to the stadium. Every place you go, it takes you 2.5 hours to get there. And these idiots are all making excuses for the fans and the other frauds who don't show up.
I went to the University of Illinois, right? I didn't need to watch a television commercial to tell me to go watch Jack Trudeau throw passes to Tim Brewster, all right? I wanted to go.
You were there when Brew was playing?
Yes, I was in the stadium. When they beat Michigan to clinch the Big Ten title, I actually ran down on the field and had a hand on one of the goalposts as we pushed it over.
Wow.
Cal Stahl. That was the biggest mistake Giel ever made.
Yeah, but it wouldn't do him any good today because Cal died about 20 years
Cal couldn't still coach the team, though, because he's dead.
Look.
He told him if he didn't beat Wisconsin, he was going to fire him. I told that Giel, you're crazy. Stahl knew how to cheat a little bit. And they haven't had
Both
a coach
he and Giel passed away, so you know.
Since then who knew how to operate, like getting Tony Dungy and getting a bunch of good football players. If he got one of the toughest breaks, they'd have had one of the greatest backfields ever put together.
Larry Powell.
Larry Powell comes up with that polio, run a 4.240.
So
Guillain-Barré syndrome.
So give me your reason as to why there's fewer students that go to the on-campus stadium than the Metrodome. Quick theory.
They ain't going to draw until they win. Students are no different. The biggest trouble is 25-54, there's no young people going to Gopher games.
Yeah.
They go to Viking games.
I got one thing I want to say, though, is I looked it up today. It was in my column. 1977 was Cal's best team. They beat Washington, UCLA, and Michigan at home. And I read one of these administrators at the U in the Star Tribune story saying, well, the Metrodome killed the student enthusiasm. So this was like saying, boy, back at Memorial Stadium, they used to flock, right?
Yeah.
They beat number 1 rated Michigan, 16-0. Then they go on the road and lose to Indiana or somebody. They come home, they play Michigan State and Wisconsin and drew 30,000 for both games in 1977.
That was the aftermath?
30,000.
Take a break, come back.
That's why Giel went to the Metro.
Yeah, stop on by at the fair, visit Wayne Kostrowski and the whole crew. Guac rocks, you bet. Tejas booth. It is a Minnesota tradition like the State Fair. Welcome back to the Sports Show. Vikings, come away optimistic?
Well, you talked to Mr. Ponder today. He took a lot of responsibility for some of the games they lost. He said there was 9 games where at the end of the game, either they or the opposition was in a 2-minute drill at the end that they could have won. Now, that's pretty good stat.
But you're not going to win them all.
Huh?
You're not going to win all 9 of those.
I'm just saying where they could have won, but they were both either one team or the other team was
That's
in
a
the
team
2-minute
that knows
drill.
how to lose, Sid. That's a team that knows how to lose.
You got to make a play, Sid.
Anytime you hear statistics like that, that means things didn't go well.
How good did you Bears look in that last exhibition game? Cutler's a machine, man.
Oh, he came out slinging that first series. It was pretty impressive. Brandon Marshall's a good addition. Alshon Jeffrey's got talent. Our problem is, once again, our safeties are injured. And Urlacher.
What's this aura thing? It sounds like dark with Canterbury.
I am the Bears fan. All right.
See you next week, everybody.